Okay, can you guys hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. And निमित हर्ष को बैक स्टेज पे मूव कर. So guys, welcome to Sumit's Talk. I am your host today. My name is Vishesh Mistry. I am currently pursuing BCA from NUV, and today's talk title is Welcome to Server Side. This talk is given by Sumit Yadav. He's my classmate, and he's a very creative full stack web developer, and you guys should have fun today. So I'll now invite Sumit Yadav to take over the place and continue with the talk.
Hello everyone, welcome to today's talk. The talk title is Welcome to Server Side. In this talk, we are going to learn about the basic of backend development. Okay, so let me give my introduction first. My name is Sumit Yadav. I am currently pursuing Bachelor in Computer Application from Navratna University, and I'm currently in my first year of college. I'm a full stack web and a Flutter developer, which means I love to create interactive websites and app using Flutter. I do play flight simulator game a lot. Literally a lot. I play around 3 to 4 hours a day. So I love flight simulator games. Okay, so that's the introduction part. Okay, so now let's see the today's agenda. So first of all, we are going to see what is Node.js. Then we are going to see what is NPM and NPM modules and packages. After that, we are going to learn about what is Express.js. And then we are going to learn about what are APIs. And last but not the least, we are going to build a web app. Okay, so move to our first topic, which is what is Node.js and where to use it. Okay, so Node.js is a server-side platform built on Google Chrome JavaScript engine. It was developed by Rindell in 2009. Node.js is an open source software, which means it is free to use. Node.js applications are written in JavaScript. Node.js also provides a rich library of various JavaScript modules, which simplifies the development of a web application using Node.js to a great extent. Some of the modules are Express.js, body parser, Node fetch, and etc. etc. Okay, so now let's see companies using Node.js are. So the companies are eBay, General Electric, Netflix, and so on. Okay, now let's see where to use Node.js. So we can use Node.js in IO bound application, which is input-output bound application. So in the application can read or write the file from the disk. Then second, we have data streaming application like Netflix. So basically in this in this type of application, we can simply stream content online. Third, we have the JSON API based application like the weather web app, which we are going to build today. And fourth, we have single page application like Twitter, Instagram, and GitHub. Okay, now let's see where not to use Node.js. So basically, it is not advisable to use Node.js for CPU intensive application. So if your application require high CPU processing power, then it is really not advisable to use it. Okay, how to install Node.js in Windows. So first of all, you need to download the Windows installer from the Node.js website, and then you have to choose the LTS version that's shown on the left. Let me show you. you have to choose this version LTS instead of the current version. Okay, then you have to run the installer, the .msi file you have just downloaded in the previous step, and then follow the prompt in the installer, accept the license, click the next button a bunch of times, and then accept the default installation settings. Okay, so once you see this type of prompt, you have to choose npm package manager instead of Node.js runtime, and then simply click next button. Restart your computer. You would not be able to run Node.js until you restart your computer. To confirm that the node has been successfully installed on your computer, you have to simply open the command prompt and then type this command, node space minus minus version, and you should see the current version of Node.js in your system. So like this, you have to open the command prompt and write node space minus minus version, and then you can see the version of Node.js. Okay, now let's see what is a npm. So npm stands for Node Package Manager. npm is a package manager for Node.js packages. So what are packages? Package in a Node.js contain all the file you need for a module. So suppose you want to install Express module, then npm will download a package that contain all the files required for the Express module. Now, what are modules? So modules are basically JavaScript libraries you can include in your project. Now let's see how to install Node.js package, npm package or modules. So for that you have to write npm install package name, or you can write npm I package name in the command line. Now let's see how to use npm packages or module. So for that you have to create a variable, and then you have to simply write require, and in single quote or in double quote you have to write your package name. Okay, so let's see a quick example of npm. So suppose you have a Lego house, and if you want to add trees around your Lego house, instead of building the whole tree from the scratch, what you can do, you can use npm, and from npm you can simply download the tree package, and this package contains pre-built tree, and you can put those trees around your Lego house, and it will simply save you a lot of time and efforts. Okay, now it's time to learn what is Express.js. So Express.js, or simply Express, is a backend web application framework for Node.js. So basically it is used to code the server side. Okay, so it is Node.js. Express.js is a free and open source software under the MIT license. So what is this MIT license? So basically MIT license was created by the Massachusetts Institute of Technology, and basically it reduced the restrictions or limitations on reusing the code, and also we can use the MIT license application with the application that has GNU General Public License also. The third point is it is designed for building web application or API. The best example is the weather web app, which we are going to build today. Okay, now let's see what are APIs. So API stands for Application Programming Interface. So guys, we can use API in many cases, like to get data from a web application, or to connect to a remote server that has data like weather that keeps changing, or to enable two applications to exchange data among each other. Okay, so let's see some examples of API. So the first example is signing up in any website using Facebook authentication. So you have seen on many websites that when you are trying to sign up, there is a button sign up with Facebook. So when you click on that button, the current website get connect to a Facebook server using the API, and then you can authenticate yourself using your Facebook account on that website. Okay, so the second example is you can fetch memes using API. Let's see the example. Okay, so when a client want to fetch the meme, so the browser will send a request for memes to a server using API, and that server will send a response back to our server with a meme, and then simply the browser can render the meme on the page. So this is how this whole API works. Okay, now let's see the visual working of our website. So when you are trying to access the weather web app, the browser will first send a GET request to our server, and this request is for the HTML, CSS, and JS file, so that the browser can render the home page. So in response of that, our server will send HTML and CSS and JavaScript file back to the browser so that the browser can render the page. Now, if the user wants the weather data, but our server don't have that data, so what our server will do? Our server will send another GET request to someone else server using API that holds that weather data, and then that server will send back a response to our server with that particular piece of data, and our server will send a fresh response back to our browser, and the browser can render the weather data on the screen. So this is how weather web app is going to work. Okay, now let's start building a weather web app. So for that, you have to first open the command prompt, and then you have to create your project folder on desktop. So you have to come inside the desktop folder. So I'm currently in C user summit directory, so I have to change my directory and come inside the desktop folder. So for that, I will write cd and the folder name, which is desktop. Cd means change directory, and now I'm inside this desktop folder. So now I have to create a folder, a project folder in desktop. So for that, I will write mkdir, which means make a
Yes,
directory.
Sumit, I'm so sorry to interrupt. But guys, if you have any
Okay.
questions or any doubts regarding all the process which Sumit explained, feel free to put your questions in the chat box and we will address them.
Thank you, Vishesh.
Yeah.
Thank you, Vishesh. Okay, so back to the topic. So in order to create the folder, you have to write mkdir and the folder name, which will be weather web app. Okay, so the folder is created. Now we have to get inside this folder. So cd and the folder name. Okay, so I'm now inside this folder. Okay, so now we need two more files. The first one will be the index.html file, and another one will be the app.js file. So in order to create a file, you have to write cd.angular bracket and the file name, which will be index.html, and the second one is app.js. So our both file is created. Now we have to initialize the npm so that we can download or install our node package, packages or module. So for that, we have to write npm net, and it will simply initialize the npm, and then it will ask you for the package name. You can give your own, but by default it take the package name as your folder name. So I'm okay with that, so I will simply press enter. Then it will ask you for the version name, so I'm okay with 1.0.0, so enter again. Then it comes, it will ask you for the description, so let me give a short description. Whether when app using Express. Then it will ask you for the entry point, so exactly we want app.js as our entry point, so enter again. We don't have to write anything inside this test command, nothing inside the git repository, and nothing inside this keyword. And now inside this author, you have to give your name, so give my name, and licenses with the ILC. And now it will compile your input in a JSON format, which is a JavaScript object. And then it will ask you for, is this okay? Yes, it is okay. So enter again. So we have successfully initialized the npm. Now we can start installing our node modules and packages. So first we require our first module, which is Express. So for that, I will write npm iexpress. Basically, it will download the package that contains all the file that Express module require. So basically, it contains 50 packages from 37 contributor. Okay, let me open my VS Code. Okay, now you have to open the uh, app.js, and now it's time to import the module. So for that, I will create a constant variable called express, and then you have to write require and double quotes the package name, and I will create another constant variable called app. You can give any, but I will give app, and then you have to write express and open and close round bracket. So basically, this app is representing the express module. So whenever you want to use the express module, you have to write app first. So now we have to set up a server on port number 3000. So what is this port number 3000? So basically, port number 3000 is the channel on which our website is going to be tuned. So whenever you want to access our website, you have to write localhost colon 3000. Why localhost? Because we are hosting our website locally. So localhost colon 3000, which is the port number, and you can see the your website. So for that, you have to write app.listen and then the port number is 2000, and you have to create a callback function and simply log server is running. Okay, if I go back to the command prompt and write node app.js, say server is running. Okay, so now I open a new tab, and if I write localhost colon 3000, it give me an error called cannot get. So what does it mean? So basically it means that the browser is sending a get request back to the server, but the server is not responding on this get request. So we need to create a get method to process this request. So we have to write app.get, and then you have to give the root of the website. So we are on the home page, so we will give only slash. If you are on the about us page, then you have to write about. Okay, then you have to create a callback function with two arguments, request and response. So I will write request as ret and response as res. Okay, now we have to send a response. So I will write res dot send, and let's send hello world. Okay, and that. Okay, so come back to the command prompt again. And every time you make any changes inside your code, you have to first terminate the server. So in order to do that, you have to simply press Ctrl C and then write node app.js again. Okay, now come back to the browser and refresh the browser, and you can see hello world is printed. So now instead of this hello world, we require a HTML page that contains the input field so that the user can enter the city name and can search for the weather data. Okay. So let me quickly grab my index.html. Okay, let me give a title here. Okay. Now I have to create a form with method post. By method post, because we are sending information back to a server, so you need a post method. And in action, you have to give your route of the page. So we are on the home route, so only slash. Then you need a label for name, and here you have to give city name. And then you need a input text type field and give the name city and ID city name. And last but not least, you need a submit type button and give a search here. Okay, so now instead of the string, you have to send a file. So write res.send file, and then you have to give the path of that file. So instead of writing the whole path, what I will do, I will simply write double underscore and dir name. So this will fetch the current directory path for me, and then I will use string concatenation, and I will simply write slash index.html, the file name. Okay, so instead of terminating the server again and writing node.app.js again and again, what you can do, you can use another module called nodemon. So you have to write npm I nodemon, and basically this module will look for the changes inside your code, and whenever it detects any changes inside your code, it will simply refresh or restart your server automatically. So you don't need to write node app.js again and again. So instead of node app.js, what I will do, I will write node mon app.js. Okay, so the server is started. Now if I refresh the browser, I can see my basic HTML form. Let me add a BR tag so the button will be in the line. Okay, so now it's look good. So if I enter a city name, suppose Baroda, and if I hit this search button, it give me an error again. Cannot post. So what does this error mean? So basically this error also means the same as cannot get. So the browser is sending a post request back to the server, but the server is not responding on it. So we need a post method to resolve this problem. So app.post, same you have to give the route, and you have to create a callback function with two arguments, rect and res. And now we have to send a response. So res.send, let's send thank you. Okay, so as you can see, the server is automatically restarting due to the changes. So we don't have to write node app.js again. So now if I refresh the browser and if I write anything inside this input field, it give me a response thank you. So now instead of this thank you, we need the weather data. So for that, first I need the city name inside this input field. So how to fetch this the name inside the city field? So for that we will going to use another module called body parser. So this will help us to fetch data from the HTML page. So for that you have to terminate this server. So you have to press Ctrl C and write Y. Okay, and write npm I body parser, and it will download the package. Okay, now we have to use it. So I will create another constant variable called body parser, and then we have to write require and body parser. Now we have to use the body parser. So you have to write app dot use, and you want to use body parser. And then body parser has different mode inside it. So there is a text mode, which basically send the request in a text type, and then there is a JSON mode, which basically convert your data in a JSON format. But the mode which we are going to use today is URL encoding. So basically, this mode will help us to fetch the data from the uh, HTML form. So if you want to fetch data from the HTML form, then you have to use this mode, URL encoding. And there is an option called extended, and you have to set that extended option to true. Okay, so now instead of this, I will create variable let location is equals to And now we have to request something from the browser. So I will write request rec, and we have to request something from the body. So rec.body, and then we have to fetch the input field. So we have to give the name of the input field. So it is city. So now you have to write the name of the input field, which is city. So now if I log this, let's see we are able to fetch or not. So console log location. Okay. Okay. Let me get my server up again. Okay. So now if I refresh the browser and hit the search button, okay, okay, that's not getting the. Okay, we will see this later. Now we need the API for in order to fetch the. Uh, oh, I think it's my problem. Okay, my bad. I have not given the city name. Sorry, guys. Okay, so we have to give the city name, which is Vadodara, and then hit the search button, and then you can see Vadodara is printed in the command prompt. Okay, so now we need the API. So in order to fetch the data, so we are going to use this website, Open Weather Map, to get our API key and URL. So basically, this website is free. You need to just sign up here, and then you have to click on this API. Okay, that's not. So responded. Okay, so it's loaded. Okay, so we want to fetch current weather data. So click on API docs. Let's just give me a minute. I think it's no problem. And now we have to fetch the data by the city name. So we need to copy this much of line. Oh, what's happening? Okay, copy. And let's create a variable called URL and paste this URL here. Make sure you have HTTPS in the beginning. And now instead of this, okay, let me give back test here. Instead of the code, I will give back test. And now instead of the city name, we have to give our city name. So the variable is location. So write dollar, open and close curly bracket, and inside there you have to give your variable name, which is location, and then you have to give the API key. So it is a good practice to not show your API key in public. So for that, I will going to use a module called .env. So basically, this module will help us to create environmental variable. So let me quickly download it. npm i.env. Get my server up again. Now you have to click on. You have to click. You have to create another file. Sorry, and give a name .env. So inside this, you have to write API is equal to, and then you have to give your API key. So from where you are getting this API key. So go to the Open Weather Map and click on your username, and then click on this My API key, and here you will get your API key, and simply copy that API key and paste it here. Okay, so I'm not going to use it, so I will simply delete this file. I have my prebuild.env file, so I will simply copy that file inside my workspace, and now we have to use the .env. So you have to write require module name, which is .env dot config and open and close round bracket. Now here you have to write dollar, open and close round bracket, and then you have to write process dot env and the uh, name of the API. So it will be API. And okay, so now we have to fetch the data from this API. So we need to modify our function to async. Okay, so let me write the code first and then I will explain you what is this async function. Okay. Oh, okay. Get another variable called response and then you have to write away. Okay, so basically async function return a promise to the browser. So uh, when the browser is like compiling this line, it will wait for the uh, wait for the data to be fetched from the URL or the API. This is the our API. So it will wait for the data to be fetched from this API. And when it moves, when the data is fetched, it will move on to the next line. And in this line, it will simply wait for the data to be converted into a JSON file, which is basically a JavaScript object. And then we are simply logging the data. So, okay, now let me show you working. We refresh the site, and if I write, let's take Delhi. Okay, if I search, okay, so there is an error basically. Says fetch is not defined. Okay, okay, let me write what is wrong here. Let's see. Fetch is not defined. Okay, just give me a minute. Just give me a minute. I need to check my API key. Okay, let me check my API key. It's perfect. Let me copy it again. Open the map, my API key. Okay, okay, okay. My bad, my bad, my bad. I'm not installed the Node fetch. Sorry, guys. Sorry. Let me share my entire screen. Actually, I have a dual monitor setup, so I need to. Okay, Vishesh, can you confirm that my screen is visible or not?
Yes, Sumit, it is visible.
Vishesh?
Yes, it is visible.
Okay, okay. Thank you, thank you. Okay, guys, my bad. I've not installed the Node Fetch module. So basically, Node Fetch help us to fetch the data from the API URL. So for that, you have to write npm I Node Fetch. Okay. Now we have to use node fetch. So I will create another constant variable called fetch. Then require node fetch, and now it will work. Okay, so we get a weather data back from the open weather map. So it contains the coordinates, the longitude, latitude, and the description of the weather. So in Vadodara currently there is few clouds, and we got the icon ID which we are going to use um, further, and then we get the temperature. But the unit is not as per our requirement. So if you go on to the open weather map, if you, I think it will be here. Yeah. So if you scroll down a little bit, click on learn more, and you can see here it says if you want to change the temperature in Celsius, you have to use this unit matrix. So let me copy this thing. Okay. Come back to the API URL. Simply add a and symbol and paste the unit is equal to matrix. And now let me remove this Vadodara and write again the variable which is stored in the location. Okay. Back to the localhost 3000, and let's search the temperature in Delhi. Okay, so we get the longitude, latitude. We got the in Delhi there is a broken cloud. We get the temperature is 31.05 degrees Celsius. Okay, so now it's time to fetch the data in variable. So I will create a variable called that and temp. So first we will fetch the temperature from the data. So in order to fetch the data, you have to temperature from the data. You have to come inside this main, and then you can fetch this temp. So first write the variable which is storing the data. So in that case, it is data. So write data dot, and then we have to come inside the main and then temp. Let's see if it's working or not. Refresh the browser. Hit this search button. Okay, give me an error. Let's see what is the error. Okay, okay. So sorry, I by mistake searched for Vadodara, but we are successfully getting the data in data back here. The 35.09, 35.9698 degrees Celsius. Okay, now we have to fetch the description. So for that, okay. So for that we have to come inside the weather, and then the index value will be 0, and then you have to fetch this description. So for we have to first write the data dot and then the weather. Index value will be 0 and description. Let me see that the spelling is correct or not. Yes, it is correct. Now let's create another variable for icon. Same data dot other data. Index value will be 0 dot uh, okay. Okay, so now if you go back to the open weather map, and if you click on this list of condition code, then you have to click on this weather condition code. Okay, Now basically open weather map provide list of icons also. So in order to fetch the icons you have to simply copy this URL, and then you have to create another constant variable for, okay, I will use let, sorry not that, and then that it's, and then paste the URL here. Now instead of this ND you want to use this icon, you have to use this. So dollar open and close curly bracket and the variable name which is icon. Okay, so we have successfully fetched all the data we require for our weather webman. Now it's time to send response back to our server. So for that we have to write res dot send. Okay, res dot send and the backticks. Then we require a h1 tag, the current weather in. We have to give the location is, and then we have to give the description of the weather. So this, okay. Now we need another h1 tag, the current temperature in that particular location is, we have to give the variable which is storing the temperature, degree Celsius. Okay. Now last we have to send the image of the weather. So we need an image tag, and then we have to give the source. So I will write dollar and then the variable which is storing the URL. So image URL, and then we have to only close the bracket. Okay, now let's see that we are able to fetch the, okay, let me refresh the browser. Now let's see the weather in New York. The search button. You can see the current weather in New York is overcasted cloud, and the current temperature in New York is 23 degrees Celsius, and we got this little icon also. So basically this is how you can create a basic weather web app using Node.js and Express.js. If you want to send your static CSS and JS file, you need a module called EJS, but let's keep that topic for next talk. Uh, so okay, so thank you everyone for joining this talk. I really appreciate. And if you guys have any doubt, you can ask me now. And if you have any doubt after this talk, you can simply ping me on the Discord. This is my Discord ID, and I will try my best to resolve your doubts. And thank you again. And now over to Vishesh.
Thank you so much, Sumit. This was a very informative talk, and I hope the audience found this very much helpful and informative. Uh, so, guys, if you have any doubts or anything, so you can ask us in the chat section, and we will address that doubt, and Sumit will answer it personally. So, we will wait for the questions.
Okay, okay, sure.
Okay, since there are no questions, then we'll wait again for a few minutes and then we'll end the session. So, okay, so there's a question from Shreyas
Okay,
Bhangne. Uh, can you explain a little bit more about async await? What is that?
okay.
Enlighten us.
So let me share my. Okay. So basically, async function return a promise. So basically, when the browser is executing this line of code, the variable which is a response will tell the browser that please wait for my execution. If you have any work which is pending, just go and do that work first. So the browser will do the other work which is pending, and then it will come back to the await function, and then it will ask you like, hey, response, did you fetch the data from the URL? And then the response will tell, yes, I have fetched the data from the URL, and then it will move. The browser will move to the another await function, and then it will tell the data that, hey data, please convert the response from the response variable in a JSON format. So the data variable will say like, just wait on, I will complete my work. If you have any uncompleted work, just go and do that work first. So the browser will say, oh, sorry, I don't have that. I have not any work to be done. So it will say, okay, then wait. And after the data is converted into a JSON, then it will move to the another task. So this is the explanation of the async await in a layman language. So hope uh, the doubt of Shreyas is resolved.
Yep. Thank you so much, Sumit. And I think there are no more questions. So we will end this session. And thank you very much, guys, for joining us. And hope you guys enjoyed this and hope you guys found this informative. And I think this will help you in your journey of a full stack web developer. So, yeah, thank you so much, guys.
Yeah, sure, sure. Thank you guys uh, for joining this talk. Thank you Vishesh. Thank you Nimit. Thank you Fanil for giving this opportunity.